What's going on, guys? Waiting for my viewer to tune in here for just a second. All right, I see you. I see you. Okay, here we go. Erica is joining me online today.
Can't hear you yet.
Oh, there we go.
Awesome. Hi, Erica. I'm Jake.
Hi, Jake. I'm Erica.
Nice to meet you. So you tuned in for a little bit on the last call with Bree, I take it, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So that's going to just start us right off. So I just wanted you to introduce yourself, where you're from, and maybe why you were interested in joining the Instagram Live tonight.
All right, so I'm Erica Delaney. I'm from Indianapolis. I grew up in Westfield, Indiana.
Okay.
And I was interested in joining today because I actually got quite a bit out of the session we did with Brianna. And
Okay.
I was fascinated by the thought leadership that was happening, and so I wanted to kind of help keep it going. And so I was eager to volunteer for a second round.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing that. And what I thought would be a good topic tonight is how to overcome excuses, because I think a lot of people have them. I have them. I know that I run into issues sometimes trying to continue doing something, and things will get in the way because it's easy to say that there's a reason or something that may prohibit me from getting what I know I need to get done.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I just kind of want to start off by defining what an excuse actually is. So I went on Merriam-Webster Dictionary under entry 2 of 2, because you can also use it as a noun or a verb. I'm using it as a noun. It says an expression of regret for failure to do something. Some synonyms are it's an apology, a possible defense, justification, or a reason. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's accurate. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a good reason. But I mean, we can find a reason for everything, right?
Right. So yeah. So go ahead and elaborate on that. What are some excuses that you possibly run into, and I'll share some of mine.
My personal excuses.
Sure.
All right, so I can tell you right off the bat that my number one excuse is I'm tired.
Tired.
That's probably the one I use the most.
Yeah, Holly would probably agree with that one. That's my girlfriend. She's just down the hall in the house here. That's definitely one. Good.
So that, and then there will be a whole plethora of excuses I'll use, but the real excuse is that I'm afraid of failure for a lot of things. So like, oh, I'm not qualified, or oh, I'm sure there's somebody else that'll get it before me, or I don't have the time to do that, or
yeah.
There's a lot.
Excellent. So afraid of failure. Any other ones?
So this is one I've been working on a lot recently. I can't. So
okay.
If somebody says, hey, do you want to do blah, blah, blah? Like if I don't want to do it, I say, oh, I can't, but we can talk more about that later. That's a big one I use. I can't, even though I can.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm hearing too tired, not enough energy, afraid to fail. Now, why would you ever be afraid to fail?
Because failure sucks. Like nobody wants, we don't set out to do something so that we can fail at it. And so
who's we?
I think people in general.
Okay.
I'll speak to myself. I don't set out to do things to fail. I set out to do something to succeed at it. And failure takes time, and it takes, nobody likes to do it. There's a society of mockery on failure sometimes. And it's a bad habit that I think everybody has, to laugh at someone that fails. But I mean, that doesn't feel good to fail. So.
Sure, sure. Now, I'm curious, do you think that you thinking about failing and what others think of you when you fail is more of the issue than you thinking you are a failure for failing?
Probably.
Are you more worried about what other people think when you fail?
Probably.
Yeah. And so that's what Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about, is when you actually give up the power to other people of them influencing how you feel when you do something you may or may not think is right, by maybe making an excuse for whatever it is that you are or are not doing. When you give that power away to them, it'll control your life.
Yeah.
When you say, hey, you know what, I failed, that's on me.
Yeah.
No big deal, that's on me, right? And then you take that power, go ahead and take that power back away from those people and say, you know what, I'm not going to give you that power.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing thing, because now you're free. Now you're free. When you fail and you own up to it, you don't even give it to the guy left and right of you for them to make you feel a certain way. Have you ever heard anybody say that? Why'd you make me feel like that?
Why'd you make me feel like that?
Yeah, why'd you make me feel this way? Or when you said that, it made me feel this, or whatever, right? Yeah. You made me feel. When you do that, and you have that sort of victim mentality, not saying that you are, I'm speaking you as everybody in general. When you do that, you're giving away your power.
A lot of power. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something I wrote down, actually, that something I encountered, excuses I hear from other people, is people saying, well, they made me, or it made me, or it did this, or they did this. And it's like, okay, but what could you have done in that situation? Or if someone says, oh, they make me crazy, or they made me do this, I'm like, but did they force your hand, or did you allow them to influence your emotions that led you to make those choices? Like,
right.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So you owe it to yourself to maintain that control.
Exactly.
And when you say, oh, so-and-so made me feel this way, or I couldn't get it done because of this, you're giving up all that power. And when you're worth more than doing that, right? So now what happens when you actually take that power back? So say you go from, I feel really bad because so-and-so said something to me that made me feel whatever feeling. When you take that back, what happens? What would happen for you?
So for me, when I take it back, I'm able to like rationalize through the feelings that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm thinking that might be leading me to feel that way based on their actions. And then I'm able to kind of flip it and say, okay, well, they did this. What can I do about it? If I can do something, I do it. If I can't, then I just have to like relinquish it.
Right, right.
Like the saying, if you can do something about something, do it, or don't worry about it. And if you can't do anything, don't worry about it. Exactly.
So, for example, I saw Holly join. Holly's my girlfriend. She's amazing. I saw Matt Adsme join on, a couple of new faces on there. Put an example out there that's real for them. So I used to run for the University of Indianapolis, ran cross-country track for them. And the reason I say that is to maybe help them relate. I would get upset at other people because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do as far as stretching or doing the workouts, and I would possibly look down on a particular workout they were doing. Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna make me feel bad because I'm not good at running fast sprints. I'm better at doing this. And it's because I wasn't taking responsibility to do what I know I needed to do to be successful in that type of a workout. I said, I hate running the mile because it makes me feel ... I would rather run a long distance race. Well, it's just because it was easier for me. It didn't mean that the race was bad. And so I gave the power to the race instead of saying, oh no, I'm fully capable of doing this. As long as I do my stretching and the core exercises that I know I'm supposed to do outside of the running,
yeah,
that would have given me responsibility back. But it's much harder to take full responsibility. Yeah, I see. So Matt says running the 800, 2 laps around the track, right? Seems easy. But when you say that to a long distance guy and that's like a sprint to him, he goes, I hate that race. that race makes me feel. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The race doesn't do anything. The race is arbitrary. Somebody decided that 400 meters, for whatever reason, was one lap and that we'd make a race that was 2 laps long. Who cares? Somebody decided that running from one city to another was called they called it the marathon because they went to a place called Marathon, and that was 26.2 miles. The distance doesn't matter, right? So that's good. That's good. Now, you said that I can't sometimes is an excuse for you. Can you go ahead and elaborate on that?
So this is one of those kind of ownership type of things. Like, just an easy example, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. If somebody asks me if I want to do something and I'm tired or I just don't feel up to it, I say I can't. But like the reality is I can. I'm fully capable of going and doing whatever it is that you want me to do. I just don't want to. And I think we say I can't to spare people's feelings or make it seem like it's out of our hands. But I've learned that people don't really take offense to it if you say I'm just not up for it today. So yeah, that's one I do a lot, and I catch myself and I'm like, why did I say I can't? I can. I owe it to that person to say, hey, I'm not feeling up to it today. Can we try another time? So. Perfect
example, myself today, I was standing at my desk doing my work, and a couple of guys goes, hey, you want to go grab lunch in the cafeteria? And I said, yeah, I'd like to, but I actually have some work I got to get to. And I just said it'd be a better time some other time. I'm a little swamped after the weekend. There's some things I got to do kind of right now that just came up. I really do have to do that right now. Yeah. And they go, oh, okay, no worries. Yeah. And then a couple other people still joined in, and they went, and they didn't think anything of it. The odds are you think that the situation's actually worse than what it is. You say something and you feel like, because you're worried about what everyone else thinks, right? You perceive that the situation is worse than the outside, when in fact they go, oh yeah, I've been there. In fact, I could probably be doing work too instead of going down there and grabbing a bite to eat, but I'm doing it anyways, whatever, right? Yeah. And they just decided for them they would rather go. Their want to go to lunch was higher than their want to stay and do exactly the same work right now. So therefore they went to lunch, right? But I was just honest with them, and they didn't bat an eye at it. They said, okay, cool. And they probably look up to somebody that does that anyways because they're real. Yeah. So it's good. It gets the monkey off your back for whatever thoughts you may have on your mind that might be weighing on you because you fell out of ethics with yourself and didn't admit the truth. It's okay to be truthful. Yeah. Yeah. For me, some excuses that I have, because I've had you talk, and I'll go ahead and give you a break. I say I don't have time a lot. So that would be one for me, and I'm writing down notes. So whenever I look down here, that's because I got a little notepad here. I'd say time is one. Don't feel like it. Yeah, that would be another one for me. Don't feel like it. This morning, my alarm went off at 4:30. I didn't feel like getting up at 4:30, and I actually didn't. Most of the time, I'm up and I try and do a little video right before I go on my run. And every once in a while, each week, I just don't. And it sucks. I got up and started moving around. I let the dogs out, let them go to the bathroom in the backyard, and started prepping for my day like I would as if I had already completed my run. And I sat and thought to myself, said, hold on a second. It's still just 5 in the morning. Yeah, I've lost a half hour, 45 minutes here that I'm used to a certain schedule. But I have time to do 3 miles instead of maybe 5. So I actually started to rationalize, hold on a second. We're only talking about 45 minutes. I could just, because I have the ability, I'm grateful, and I'm lucky enough, I can go in a little bit later into work as late as 9 in the morning. Right. So just because I don't get in at 7:30 when I really want to, so I can leave a little earlier to do other things that I'd like to do after the workday, I thought to myself, hold on, would I feel better going a little bit later and still getting a little bit of a run in and regulating the rest of my day? Or would I feel worse to try and sell myself on the idea that I didn't have time and then not run? Probably not. Right. That would be way worse. So let's just go and get 3 miles in. I need to be grateful that it is actually 38, almost 40 degrees outside in the morning on a December morning, which is very rare in Indiana. let's go out there and get a run in and be grateful that I could do that and then come back. And so I recognized it. So I'm always trying to get better at it, right? But I recognized I use time as a staller. You know what? I'm just not going to do it. I don't have time. I got to get up and go. I bet half the people that are listening to me go, oh my gosh, I don't even think about getting up at 5. I get up at 6 or 6:30. You got a whole hour and a half before I would even get up, right? That's just an excuse, Jake. You're fine. You got plenty of time, right? Feel like it is a big one for me. I try and do about 200 push-ups a day because I realize that I want to get better at push-ups. I'm a runner. I'm not built very, very well up top, right? And I just like to get stronger for myself. Sometimes because I have alarms set on my phone of when to do push-ups, sometimes I don't feel like doing them. But I'll leave the notification up there, and eventually it'll wear me down in the day enough to where I go, I don't want to just swipe it. I want to check it. And I'll get down, I'll do my push-ups for that 1 hour that I need to. I try and do 30 every 2 hours, right? Let's see. Another one for me would probably be, what's the worst that could happen? And some people can use that both ways.
Yeah.
I didn't go on my run. What's the worst that could happen? Right? Or what's the worst can happen? I can go and do 3. What's the worst can happen? Oh, I'm 20 minutes behind schedule. Okay, I'll get cereal instead of making myself eggs. I won't have to spend 20 minutes in the kitchen. Let's roll, right? So that's another one. What's the worst that could happen? I'm going to write that down. And I think if people were able to use that in a positive way, I'm guilty of this too, by the way. Sometimes I go, what's the worst that can happen in a negative light? And I shouldn't do that. And that's why I like getting on the call today, is having some transparency and talking through, hey, we're all people. We all are in different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
And we all probably have the same excuse one time or another. So let's see. I marked down something here. What things do you have difficulty completing that you might use an excuse for? So we've kind of defined what our excuses might be. What are some things, actual actions or to-do list items that you find yourself regularly coming up that either for yourself you're too tired to do, you might be afraid to fail at doing, or you just can't or don't feel like it? What are some of those for you?
So I've got the little ones, like folding laundry.
Yeah.
Getting to the gym.
Okay.
Cleaning the house, just those types of, or like even running to the grocery store for something. And then on the bigger side, this is where the afraid to fail part comes in.
Yeah.
I'm a musician on the side just as a hobby.
Oh, fantastic. Guitar's behind you. That's awesome.
I sing and I write, and I haven't written in a long time.
Yeah.
Because I felt like inadequate, or I didn't think that the stuff I was making was good, and so
right.
I stopped. And so the fear to failure is one I've had to kind of look into a lot as far as songwriting goes, because like I was always afraid that I'd put something out there and then people would be like, oh, that sucks. But if I don't put anything out there at all, they don't have anything to judge anyway, and I've already failed. So that's something I've kind of been kicking back into, and I don't know.
So David Foxworthy, real quick, he had a question about your guitar. Daisy Rock guitar, is that what you have?
I don't think so. That one's actually my husband's. I've got the acoustics. He's upstairs. I don't know if he's watching. But I can let you know.
Yeah, I'll write down David's name. I'll connect you guys because he's a guru and things like that. David Foxworthy.
But yeah. Have you ever read about imposter syndrome?
No, please elaborate.
Okay, so that is probably one of the biggest psychological excuses I think people have when they're starting something new. And it's basically, you feel like even if you're perfectly qualified, you went to school for it, or you've done training for it, or you've been working in a job and gained the experience you needed, when you finally get into the position of doing something, you feel like an imposter, like you don't know what you're doing, because you have this assumption that everybody around you knows exactly what they're doing and is good at it and has earned it. You feel like you haven't earned to be where you are, or basic imposter, like it's self-explanatory.
Sure.
So that's like a lot of people suffer from it. We actually were talking about this at work not too long ago, because people get new jobs and they have imposter syndrome, like, oh, I shouldn't be here. Somebody else could have gotten this job over me. How did I get this job? I don't deserve it. Or so.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you should look into that, because I feel like that fits in with the excuses quite a bit. And it's a psychological phenomenon that happens. You don't even realize that you're making those excuses.
Yeah. So I can say, without knowing that that's what it was called, I felt that way. So I recently, well, I say recently, but back in May, I changed positions at the same company. I went from more of data entry person to I wanted to get closer to IT. And so now I'm a business integrator, which is, I'm not an actual programmer, but I talk to the IT professionals and then the business professionals, and I make them talk nice, so to speak. So anyways, I still kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So I worked for this company for about 2.5 years in my previous role, and now May. So that's 7 months since May almost. And there's times where I still don't feel like I'm doing, or I've been told how to do something once, and because it doesn't stick instantly, and then I'll go and read about that certain question in our own business notes that we have. Some time will pass. I'll work on something else. I'll come back to this thing a week later, and I'll find myself asking the same question, and me not realizing, oh, maybe there's something I'm not picking up here. Maybe I need to see it in a picture first instead of reading it, and then I go and read it. Or maybe I need to, a lot of times we don't have the mass of what we're learning. So like, if I were to tell you what a legal pad looks like, if I went like this and I let you touch it and hold it and do like this with it, maybe you'd have a better understanding than if I just talked about it like this in 2-dimensional space, right? So sometimes ITs, a lot of times we don't have access to be able to touch the internet, right? And David Foxworthy, I think he would relate. He works with routers and switches and different networking protocols, so I think he would weigh on that and like that. But anyways, yeah, having a sense that even if you're in the role and you actually do know what you're doing most of the time, it's okay to still have a hiccup, and that you're not abnormal for having that. Yeah. Because you'll look at your coworkers and they'll go, oh, I thought I accepted that invite on the Skype call and I just missed it. Or, it fell in the spam filter or whatever, right? Whatever the excuse might be. I don't know, right? Yeah. And it's okay because it happens to us every week. So, yeah, go ahead, Tyler. How do you feel about that? What do you mean by that? So Tyler's a good friend of mine. We went to high school together.
Hi, Tyler.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Tyler, Sam is another good one, and he's talking to David Foxworthy, the guy that asked about the guitar. Tyler, are you gonna send another comment there? What do you mean by that? But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, imposter syndrome, feeling like you're undeserving. So maybe you finally make it to the top, whatever this top is. And then you feel like you weren't meant to be there, even though you did all the work, you jumped through all the hoops, and now you're up there and you're looking left and right, and you're a little bit higher than those around you, and you're just like, is this right? Is this right? And it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
Oh, about being able to grab the internet?
That would be amazing.
Is that what you're talking about? Oh, that'd be great. There is an excellent episode. It's called so this TV show is called IT Crowd.
Oh, I love that show.
You know that show?
Did you try turning it off and on again?
yes, and they have the black box. The lady the new manager was able to fake the rest of the business guys that the internet was in a box.
Yeah.
And got them all to think it, and they realized that's a such preposterous idea. Yet she sold it so well, the rest of them believed in it.
Yeah, I love that.
You could say that about your dreams, right?
That's true.
There's a good segue. right? Depending on the crowd and how well you are able to pitch your idea to others, you're sold on your dreams well enough, you can influence the other people around you. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're in a bad group where you can't do that anymore, they won't even listen to your pitch or won't even listen to you, and they try to bring you down instead of push you up. Maybe you need to go to a new crowd, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's awesome. What else were you looking to get out of this call? Because I know excuses, we can only go so far with it. I wrote some notes down, and I want to try not to babble as much as I did in the first call. I want to try to make it a little quicker hit. What else were you looking to get out of this call?
I don't know, just good conversation, I guess.
Okay, awesome.
Of course, it's nice to hear other people. They have their excuses and their challenges that they're overcoming. So I think the opportunity to speak freely about that is positive for everybody involved. But yeah, just, I don't know. Last time we ended up talking about so many random things that were just like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Or yeah, that's true, you know?
Yeah. And so between now and the next call, because I think this is good, regardless if it's a 10-minute, a 5-minute, whatever it may be, having some maybe new, fresh ideas. We had 2 or 3 people pop online. If any of those ideas affected somebody in a little way, that's the whole reason for joining. So whoever's online currently, if you found any interest in this and you want to talk about something that may have dealt with what we've discussed, or you want to go a little bit further on it, just put it in the comments. I'd love to push this out and maybe have somebody else on. And the way Instagram Live works too is, I think, Erica, maybe you have to drop yourself and then somebody requests in. I don't know if I can drop. I don't know how that works, but I think it would be, and I think it would be neat, maybe in the future calls where we start discussing and then we pop in and out. And it gives you time to get off camera, right? Kind of collect your thoughts, hear someone else, and then maybe put a comment in, and then get back on camera. Literally, just like a little kid raising their hand. Yet we're able to reach a larger crowd, possibly. I think that would be good. So, Tyler, I'm not letting you get away, man. I see you on there, Sam. I'm going to hit you guys up after this because I think that you guys have a bunch of great ideas, and you could really help out a little chat like this. Awesome. Well, Erica, I really appreciate your time. And I'd love to keep doing this. I know that we had to push it back yesterday, and I appreciate you doing that. The Chris Kindle Market was the bomb.
Isn't it the best?
It was. We didn't ice skate. It was a little windy, but we got all the good foods. We got a little dessert on the way out, and it was nice. It was really clean. The lights were great. So I appreciate you recommending that to me. And I look forward to our next call. So I'll reach out to you. I'll follow up, and maybe we'll do this again in another segment. And any notes that you want to take, it's all in that Google Doc too.
Awesome.
Well, have a good rest of your night. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah.
All righty. Bye.